The jungle was quiet. Too quiet. Tall, strange trees with glowing leaves stood like guards in every direction. The air was hot and heavy. Mist floated close to the ground. Every now and then, something hissed in the shadows. A small escape pod lay broken on the ground. Smoke still rose from it. Wires sparked. Pieces of metal were scattered everywhere. The crash had been hard. A girl crawled out of the wreckage. She was not human. Her skin was a light shade of violet, marked with soft, glowing lines. Her long silver hair was dirty and tangled. Her clothes, some kind of spacesuit, were torn. Blood ran down her leg. She looked around with wide eyes. Panic was in her breath. "Where am I?" she whispered. She tried to stand but fell. Her knee was hurt badly. Still, she pushed herself up, one hand on a tree for support. The jungle didn't answer her question, but it watched her. It listened. It waited. She limped forward step by painful step. She didn't know where she was going, just that she needed to find help. Or water. Or anything. Behind her, in the branches above, yellow eyes blinked. A massive shape moved silently through the trees, long, scaled, hungry. A giant snake nearly 10 meters long followed her. The girl stopped to catch her breath. She leaned against a stone and closed her eyes for a moment. That's when she heard it. Hiss! She turned, but it was too late. The snake launched out of the trees like lightning, knocking her to the ground. It wrapped around her body with terrifying speed. 1 coil, 2, 3. She screamed. Her arms were pinned. Her ribs crushed under pressure. She couldn't breathe. The snake raised its head and looked at her with glowing yellow eyes. Its mouth opened, long fangs ready. Tears ran down her cheeks. She gasped. No one was coming. She was going to die here, alone, far from home. But the jungle hissed again. Not from the snake, but from something else. A figure stepped out of the mist. Human, tall, muscular. His face was dirty. His clothes were old and torn. But his eyes, they were sharp, focused. He saw her. He saw the snake. He didn't run. Instead, he pulled out a long knife from his belt and charged. "Hey!" he shouted. The snake turned. It hissed louder, warning him. He didn't stop. He leapt onto the creature's back, stabbing deep behind its head. The blade cut through thick scales. The snake screamed, a terrible high-pitched sound, and thrashed. The girl was thrown aside. She rolled onto the ground, coughing, trying to breathe. The snake slammed its tail into the human, knocking him into a tree. He groaned but stood up again, bleeding from his arm. The snake turned toward him now, forgetting the girl. It rushed forward, mouth open, but he was ready. He dodged, slashed again and again, aiming for the eyes, the weak spots. Finally, after a fierce struggle, the human jumped onto its neck and drove the knife deep into its skull. The snake went still, then dropped. He jumped off before it crashed to the ground, shaking the earth. Silence. The girl lay on the ground, eyes wide, chest rising and falling fast. She couldn't speak. He walked over to her, knelt beside her, and looked into her eyes. "You okay?" he asked. She blinked. She didn't understand all his words, but his voice was soft. He offered her water. She took it with shaking hands. "You're not one of them," she said slowly. "No," he replied. "I'm just human." She looked at the dead snake, then at him. "You saved me." He smiled a little. "You looked like you needed help." Her hands trembled. "I would have died, but you didn't," he said. She stared at him for a long moment, and for the first time since crashing here, she felt a little safer. But deep in the jungle, something else moved, watching, listening, waiting for night to fall. The snake was dead, but the danger was not over. The human man helped the alien girl sit against a tree. Her skin was pale, too pale. Her eyes were half closed. She was shivering, even though the jungle was hot. "You're cold," he said, touching her arm. Her skin was burning up and freezing at the same time. That wasn't normal. "I can't breathe well," she whispered. Her voice was weak, cracking. He looked at her wounds, deep bruises around her ribs and neck from the snake's crushing grip. But it wasn't just that. Something else was happening inside her body. "Hold on," he said. He pulled out a small pack from his belt and opened it. Bandages, water, some herbs. It wasn't enough, not for this. She grabbed his wrist. Her fingers were trembling. "My species. After near death, the body changes," she said slowly, trying to form the words in his language. "What kind of changes?" She looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly. "The energy builds up. If not released, I will burn from inside." His face went serious. "What do you mean by energy?" She touched her chest. A soft light pulsed under her skin. "It must flow out. Shared, or I die." He stared at her. He didn't fully understand. Was this some alien fever, some infection, some kind of life support thing? But she looked like she was in pain, real pain. "Tell me what to do," he said. She tried to sit up straighter, her breath shallow. "You must hold me. Skin to skin. Touch helps it flow." He hesitated. Was this a trick? Was this real? Then she gasped, her body suddenly shaking, like she was being electrocuted. "No time!" she cried out. "It's starting!" He dropped everything and moved to her. Okay, I've got you." He lifted her gently. She was light, fragile in his arms. Her skin sparkled with strange glowing patterns. He took off his shirt and wrapped her close to his chest. Her eyes rolled back for a moment, her breath fast and sharp. Then she sighed. Her hands pressed against his skin. The glow on her body moved through her arms into him. It was like a silent storm. Heat without fire, light without sound. A transfer of life. He felt it too. Not pain, but pressure. A warm wave pushing through his chest. She closed her eyes and whispered something in her own language. It sounded like a prayer, or a name. Then, suddenly, her eyes opened wide and she pulled back. "Wait. No. Something is wrong," she said. Her fingers touched his arm again. This time his skin glowed too. He looked down, shocked. The glow was spreading through him now. It didn't hurt, but it was definitely not human. "What is this?" he asked. She stared at him, confused and amazed. "You absorbed it." "What do you mean?" "The energy. It was supposed to flow through, but with you, it stayed." He stood up, unsure. "Is that bad?" She didn't answer right away. Then she stood too, stronger now. Her body was no longer shaking. "You saved me again," she said softly. "But now, we are connected." He blinked. "Connected how?" "I don't know," she said. "This has never happened before. No alien, no one ever, took in the energy like you." The wind moved through the trees, whispering. The jungle watched. In the distance, red lights blinked in the sky. She looked up sharply. "We have to move. If they track the energy spike and they'll come." "Who's they?" he asked. She looked at him, her eyes serious. "The ones who shot me down. They want my power. And now you have it too." He took a breath. "Guess we're in this together now," she nodded. But in her mind, one question burned. What kind of creature could absorb the life energy of a royal blood alien and survive? There was something different about this human. Something dangerous. Something more. Night fell over the jungle. The stars above were cold and distant, like they didn't care what happened on the ground below. The human man had built a small fire near a large fallen log. He laid down a blanket he kept in his old pack. It wasn't much, but it was dry. The alien girl sat near the flames. Her body was still glowing softly, but now the glow pulsed, like a heartbeat. She hugged her knees and stared into the fire. Her silver hair shimmered in the light. Her skin looked calm, but her eyes, they showed fear. Not of him, but of something inside her. He handed her a cup of warm herbal water. "You should drink this," he said. She took it slowly, her hands trembling. "Thank you. Feeling better?" "I don't know." He sat down next to her, not too close. "You're healing fast," he said. "Stronger than you were an hour ago." She nodded. "My body reacts to danger and to touch. Your body heat helped me survive. But now, something else is happening." "What do you mean?" She looked at him, her face serious. "The heat is rising again. But this time it's not from fear, it's from you." He blinked. "From me? My species. We have instincts. After a deadly threat, our body enters a phase. It wants to bind, to merge, to choose a mate for survival." He sat very still. "And I'm triggering that?" She nodded slowly. "Yes." He rubbed the back of his neck. "This is unexpected." She leaned forward suddenly. Her hand touched his chest. "I'm trying to fight it," she whispered. "But my body, it knows you saved me. It feels your heat. It remembers your scent." He froze. Her fingers felt too warm. Then she groaned and pulled back, her body shaking again. "No, not now," she said through clenched teeth. He grabbed her shoulders. "Hey, what's wrong?" She was burning. Her skin was almost too hot to touch. But she didn't scream. She just trembled. Her breath was fast. Her eyes were glowing again. Brighter than before. She fell into his arms. He caught her. "I can't stop it," she whispered, voice low. "Either we bond, or I burn." He didn't speak. His heart was pounding. He barely knew this girl, but he couldn't just watch her die. "What do I need to do?" he asked softly. She looked up at him, a tear running down her cheek. "Let me connect. Let me touch you. Let me pull in your energy fully. If I take it slowly, I might survive without bonding fully." He helped her lie down. Her body was too hot now, her suit almost melting from the heat. Her skin shimmered with symbols like glowing tattoos. She reached out, touching his bare arm. The moment her hand met his skin, he felt something strange. Not pain, not pleasure. Something deeper, like two wires connecting. Like a quiet hum deep inside his bones. Her breathing slowed. The firelight around them grew dim, as if the jungle itself was holding its breath. Then she whispered, "It's working. I can feel it." She closed her eyes. He stayed still, letting her rest against him, letting her draw whatever power she needed. But as minutes passed, her body began to glow again, this time brighter than before. "Stop," he said. "You're taking too much." She opened her eyes. "I can't stop." The connection wasn't one way anymore. Now he could feel her inside his mind, her memories, her fears, her pain, her dreams. He gasped as visions flashed across his thoughts. Alien, stars, golden cities, flying creatures, and war. She pulled back suddenly, eyes wide with shock. "You saw?" she said. "Yes." "Everything," he whispered. She crawled back a little, stunned. This shouldn't be possible. He stared at his hand, still glowing faintly. "I think you gave me more than you meant to." She nodded. "You're not like others. You're something new." Suddenly, both of them turned toward the jungle. The fire flickered. Leaves rustled. There were footsteps. More than one. She grabbed his arm. "They're here." He stood quickly, grabbing his knife. Then, "Let's move." She looked at him one last time before they vanished into the trees. This was no longer about survival. This was the beginning of something bigger. The jungle was alive with danger. The alien girl and the human ran silently between the tall trees. She was faster now, stronger. Her glowing lines lit up the path ahead like fireflies in the dark. Behind them, red lights blinked through the trees. Pursuers. "They're tracking my energy," she said, breathing fast. "We have to hide somewhere deeper." The human nodded. "I know a place." He led her through thick vines and sharp roots, then down a hidden slope. At the bottom they found a small cave, half covered in moss. Inside it was cool, damp and dark. They ducked inside, crouching near the stone wall. He pulled a blanket from his pack and laid it down. She sat quietly, her back to the wall. Her body glowed gently in the dim light. Her breathing was unsteady. Again. "What's wrong now?" he asked. She shook her head. "The bond wasn't finished." "You said you didn't need to finish it." "I was wrong." He moved closer. "What happens if it stays unfinished?" Her eyes met his. "The pressure builds. Energy leaks. I lose control. Eventually I turn into something else." He stared. "What kind of something?" She looked down. "A beast, a weapon. My ancestors were made for war. If the ritual is interrupted, we become unstable." Silence filled the cave. Then she added, "But if we complete it, fully, it stabilizes the power inside me, and in you." He looked at his hand. The faint glow was still there. Ever since they connected, he felt stronger, sharper, like something inside him had woken up. "So what does complete mean?" he asked. She looked at him, then stood slowly. Her silver hair flowed behind her like silk. She walked over to him, step by step. She wasn't shaking now. She was calm. Her body moved with confidence. "I must take the energy from you directly," she said. "In my way." He hesitated. "Will it hurt?" "No. But it will change us both." She stood close now. Her hand gently touched his chest. "You don't have to agree. But if I lose control, I might hurt you anyway." He looked into her, glowing eyes. Then he nodded. "Do it." She didn't speak. Instead, she stepped forward and pushed him gently to the floor. He didn't resist. She knelt over him, her hands moving carefully across his skin. Everywhere she touched, warmth spread, followed by light. Then she pressed her body to his, skin to skin. He gasped. Not from pain, but from the sudden wave of energy, memory, emotion flowing into him. She arched her back slightly, and the glow on her skin pulsed like a heartbeat. Their breathing became one rhythm. Then she wrapped her arms around him tightly and her legs too, a full body embrace, a squeeze. Not from lust, from instinct, from survival. She whispered something ancient in her own language. Her body glowed like a star. The cave lit up in every direction. Then, boom! A soft blast of invisible force shook the cave walls. The energy released was massive, but controlled. Their bodies separated slightly. It was done. Her glow faded slowly. Her eyes opened. He lay still, breathing hard, stunned. But he wasn't hurt. He was glowing too. She looked at him with wonder. "You accepted it all," she said softly. "You didn't resist, not once." He sat up. "It felt right." She smiled, small and tired. But before they could speak more, a sound echoed from outside the cave, a whirring noise. Footsteps, voices in a language the human didn't understand. But she did. Her face turned serious again. "They're here." She stood fast and pulled him up. "Now that the bond is complete, they won't just want to kill me, they'll want you too." He picked up his blade. "Let them come." She stared at him. You really are different. She stepped out of the cave, glowing lines across her body shining brighter than ever. The human followed her into the shadows. The game had changed. They weren't running anymore. They were ready to fight. The jungle was quiet again, but not in a good way. Too quiet. No insects chirping, no night birds singing, no distant roars. The alien girl's ears twitched. Her eyes narrowed. They're here, she whispered. The human stood beside her, gripping his blade. His skin still held a faint glow from the bonding ritual. He didn't feel tired. In fact, he felt stronger. He looked around but saw nothing. Then came the sound. Whir, click, buzz. Tiny flying machines like silver beetles moved through the trees above them. Scouting drones, fast, silent, deadly. One hovered near the cave entrance. The alien girl raised her hand and a burst of light shot from her palm. Boom! The drone exploded in the air, a quick flash and then smoke. The others scattered, but it was too late. They've found us, she said. He nodded. Then we don't wait. They ran, through thick vines, over roots, through muddy paths. But the jungle wasn't just trees and plants now. It had eyes, red, watching, moving. Up ahead, a clearing. They stopped just before entering. From behind, the trees across the open space, 4 tall figures stepped out. Their skin was black and plated like armor. Long claws at the hands, faces hidden under glowing helmets. They were not animals. They were hunters, and they were looking straight at them. One of them raised a glowing staff and shouted in a crackling voice, "Surrender, royal traitor, and hand over the human." The girl stepped forward. "You cannot touch him. We are bound. Kill me, and you destroy the last of the royal bloodline." The aliens hesitated, but only for a second. Then the leader pointed the staff. "Take them, both." The jungle lit up with red lasers. The human rolled behind a rock. The girl jumped to the side and threw a wave of glowing energy that knocked one hunter into a tree. "Keep moving," she shouted, but the enemy had backup. From the trees dropped more hunters. 2, 3, 4 more, surrounded. The human threw his last smoke bomb. A thick cloud of white dust filled the area. "Come on," he yelled. They ducked under vines and ran into the deepest part of the jungle. But now the jungle itself became a trap. The trees had long, sharp branches like spears. The plants opened wide with teeth. Sticky webs hung between roots. The girl stopped suddenly. "There's only one place left," she said. "Where?" She looked at him with glowing eyes. "An ancient ruin. My ancestors built it. It's hidden and protected." He didn't question it. "Lead the way." They moved quickly, breath heavy, mud covering their feet. Finally, after pushing past a thick wall of vines, they saw it. A large stone door, covered in alien symbols. The jungle had grown over it, but it still pulsed with light. She placed her hand on the door. It scanned her palm, then opened. Inside, a cool chamber with glowing walls and strange machines. It looked old, very old. He followed her in, and the door shut behind them with a boom. She touched one of the walls, and it came alive. Blue light floated in the air. Symbols spun. "This place was made to protect the royal line," she explained. "There may be weapons inside." He looked around amazed, then the ground beneath them shook. The girl spun around. "No, they're breaching the outer wall." "How? You said this place was protected." "They've brought something new, something we didn't expect." Another boom. This time dust fell from the ceiling. She ran to a sealed pod on the far wall and wiped away vines. It opened slowly, revealing a suit of living armor, silver black with glowing blue veins. She stepped back. "It's designed to bond with me. But it needs a second host." She looked at him. "You mean me?" She nodded. "It won't work without you. The armor is ancient. It chooses who it accepts. But you carry my energy now. That makes you worthy." He stared at the armor. It looked alien, dangerous, powerful. He reached out. The moment his fingers touched it, it moved. The armor slithered up his arm, wrapped around his chest, and sealed over his skin like liquid metal. The same happened to her. Within seconds, they were both fully armored, lightweight, flexible, strong. The wall exploded. Behind them, smoke and rubble filled the chamber. The hunter stepped in, weapons ready. The human stepped forward. His voice was deeper now, almost echoed through the helmet. "You want us?" He raised his hand. "Come get us." The girl floated beside him, glowing like a goddess of war. The battle for the jungle was about to begin. The ancient ruin shook again as smoke filled the chamber. Flames licked the stone walls. The red glow of enemy weapons reflected off the polished floor. Cracks spread through the ceiling as more hunter soldiers poured in, their armor hissing and weapons humming with deadly energy. But they didn't stop. They didn't hesitate, because they thought they were unstoppable. They were wrong. From the smoke, two armored figures stepped forward, one human, one alien girl, side by side, both glowing with the light of the bonded power, both calm, both dangerous. The hunters paused. Then, they charged. "Stay close," the human shouted. The girl responded with a silent nod. Her armor shifted, reacting to her thoughts. She raised one hand and vines exploded from the floor, wrapping around two hunters and pulling them into the ground. Screams echoed before silence fell. The others opened fire. Red bolts cut through the air. The human moved fast, unnaturally fast. His armor absorbed some of the blasts, but it was his reflexes that stunned them. He dashed forward, ducked under a plasma blade, and smashed his armored fist into a hunter's face. Crack. The helmet shattered. The creature fell. "Behind you," she shouted. He spun, and she was already there, kicking an enemy across the room. Her movements were elegant, almost like a dance. But every step, every strike had the power of a storm. They fought like they were one. Because now they were. Outside the ruin, the jungle reacted too. The bonding energy had awakened more than just weapons. The forest itself had come alive. Trees shifted. Roots tore through the soil. Glowing vines moved like snakes. The Deathworld was no longer neutral. It was protecting its own. One hunter screamed as he was dragged into the underbrush, vines wrapping around his throat. Another fell into a pit that wasn't there seconds ago. The jungle was fighting back. Inside, the battle grew more intense. More enemy soldiers arrived, some flying with jetpacks, others firing explosives. One rocket hit the chamber wall, blowing. "Open a hole to the lower floor." The girl fell, crashing through stone and dust. "Zira!" the human yelled. No answer. He jumped after her, landing hard on the lower floor. She was alive, but trapped under debris. He ran over and lifted a huge stone off her leg. "You okay?" She gasped, but nodded. "Yes, but they're coming." He looked up. Shadows moved above them. "We finish this now," he said. She touched her wrist. A circular pattern appeared on the floor. "It's a failsafe, a weapon, but it needs a sacrifice." He stared. "You're not doing that." She shook her head. "Not death, energy, a full power transfer. If we give it together, it will release a shockwave strong enough to destroy everything hostile within. A mile." He nodded slowly. "Will it kill us?" She hesitated. "I don't know." More shadows jumped down. The enemy was almost upon them. He grabbed her hand. "Let's do it." She placed her hand in the center of the circle. He did the same, the armor responded. Glowing lines ran from their fingers into the floor. The air pulsed. The enemies charged. Too late. The entire ruin lit up white. Then everything exploded. Silence. Dust. Ash. Smoke. Where the ruin once stood, now there was only scorched stone and glowing vines. The hunters were gone. Nothing but armor, pieces and broken weapons remained. In the center of the ruin, two bodies lay still. Then, movement. The human gasped and sat up. His armor faded away, vanishing into mist. He looked around. "Zira?" he called, coughing. No answer. Then, faint breathing. He crawled over to a small pile of rubble and pushed away stones. She lay there, eyes closed. He touched her face. Please. Her eyes fluttered open. You're alive. He laughed. You sound disappointed, she smiled weakly. I was ready to die with you. Well, next time let's find a way to survive without explosions. She chuckled, then winced in pain. He helped her sit up. They were both burned, cut, tired, but alive. The ruin was destroyed, the enemy was gone, and the jungle was quiet again. But this time it wasn't watching, it was guarding them. They set up camp in the remains of the chamber that night. A fire burned quietly. The sky above was clear. Stars twinkled, peaceful and distant. Zira leaned against him, wrapped in the last of the blanket. You're not just human anymore, she whispered. He looked at his hand, still glowing faintly. Neither are you. She closed her eyes. They'll send more, stronger ones. If they learn what we did, what we became, they'll never stop hunting us. He nodded. Then we make the first move. She looked at him. He was serious. This was no longer just survival. This was war. And together they were something new. Something the galaxy had never seen. Not just bonded. Not just lovers. A weapon and a legend. Born in blood, fire, and vines. 1 week later, the jungle had changed. The vines no longer attacked. The beasts no longer growled from the trees. The ground itself seemed calmer, less wild. It was as if the planet recognized them now, as if it understood they were not invaders. But something new. The alien girl, Zira, stood at the edge of the ruin, now covered with growing moss and glowing plants. Her silver hair fluttered in the wind. She wore a simple cloth dress made from jungle fiber, stitched carefully by hand. Her wounds had healed, but something deeper had not. Behind her, the human, still without a name in her tongue, watched her from a distance. His blade was at his side. His shirt was open. The glow in his veins had faded, but never truly vanished. Zira turned toward him. We can't stay here forever, she said quietly. I know, he replied. She stepped closer. The energy inside us, it's spreading. Every time we sleep, near each other, it grows stronger. I've noticed. It's not normal, she said. Even for my species, this kind of bond is rare, sacred. He looked at her. What does it mean? She didn't answer for a moment. Then, it means we are more than just partners. It means you are becoming one of us. He raised an eyebrow. An alien? She smiled. Not exactly, but no longer fully human either. He stepped closer now, only inches away. Do you regret it? Her eyes met his. No, but I fear what comes next. That night, they sat together beside the fire. No more hunters had come, no more machines. But the silence felt temporary, like the calm before a bigger storm. Zira rested her head on his shoulder. In my world, she whispered, royalty must choose a mate through a test, a trial of survival in spirit. I never passed it. I never had the chance. He nodded. I think you passed a bigger test here, she chuckled softly. You're not like the others, she said. I've heard that before. No, she said. Not in a flirty way, in a dangerous way. You absorbed part of me, but I also absorbed something from you. He turned toward her, surprised. What? She raised her hand. The fire lifted from the ground slightly, floating like liquid flame. This is not my power, she whispered. It's yours. He stared at the fire. You can control that? She let the fire fall back to the wood. I think, when we bonded, I took more than energy. I took part of your soul. Later that night, she sat across from him in the moonlight. Where I come from, she said, a final mark is given when two are fully bonded. A bite. It seals the connection forever. Mind to mind, heart to heart. He blinked. Like a tattoo? She smiled slowly. No, like A royal claim. You bite me and I become yours. She nodded. In my people's law, you'd be my mate. Official. Recognized across star systems. Untouchable by others. He leaned back. And what do you get? She looked serious. Protection. Loyalty. A voice that speaks for me, even in front of my enemies. A long silence. Then he said, "What if I say yes?" She stood, walked over, and slowly sat in his lap. "Then I mark you," she whispered, "and we face whatever comes as one." He looked into her glowing eyes. "And what if I say no?" She leaned forward, lips brushing his ear. "Then I leave, because if I stay, I won't be able to stop myself." His heart pounded. He didn't move. He didn't run. He tilted his head slightly, exposing his neck. "Then bite me." Zira's breath caught. This was not part of the mission. This was not survival anymore. This was choice. She leaned in slowly, her teeth brushing his skin. Then, a sharp pinch. He gasped, but not in pain. The bite wasn't deep. It was symbolic. Just enough to let the energy pass through. For a second, nothing happened. Then, flash. Their bodies lit up with white-blue energy. The jungle lit up around them. Even the stars above seemed to flicker. Visions flooded both their minds. He saw her. Ponton, her birth inside a crystal chamber. Her escape from a burning palace, her exile. She saw his memories. War, loneliness, his first kill. The night he lost everything. They saw each other fully. Naked souls. No lies. No secrets. When the light faded, they were still in each other's arms. Still breathing, but changed. Forever. The next morning. A ship appeared in the sky, smooth, silent, black like obsidian. It hovered above the jungle, then slowly landed near the ruins. Zira stood tall, wearing a cloak made from her people's royal colors, deep violet and silver. The human stood beside her, armored again, blade in hand. The ship's ramp opened. A woman stepped out, tall, regal, 4 guards behind her. Zira's eyes narrowed. "My aunt," she whispered. "She thought I was dead." The woman stopped 10 feet away. "You live," she said, "and you bring a human." Zira spoke loudly. "He saved me, fought with me, bled beside me. He is my chosen, my bonded." Her aunt laughed. "No alien queen has ever chosen a man from a Deathworld." Zira raised her chin. "Then I'll be the first." The aunt frowned. "Do you really believe he can survive in our world?" The human stepped forward. "I survived yours." Silence. Then Zira added, "And he's not just human anymore. He carries the light. He holds the bond. Hurt him, and you break ancient law." Her aunt stared, then slowly bowed her head. "Then welcome home, Queen Zira." Epilogue. Weeks later, in the halls of a royal city carved from glowing crystal, stories began to spread. Stories of the alien queen who bonded with a human from a savage planet, of how they destroyed an army with nothing but armor, trust, and fire, of how he let her bite him, not to tame him, but to stand beside her. They weren't just lovers. They were something the galaxy feared, a Deathworld human and a royal alien goddess, bound forever, and their legend was just beginning.